She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We hope that your day already is going exactly how you want it to. And if it isn't, pause, baby. It's time to hit a reset and make it go in the direction that you want it to. Everything in life is about choices. And you can choose to succeed today, or you can choose to fail. You can choose to think good about your coworkers and your husband or your wife and your kids, or you can choose to think ill of them. You can choose to complain, murmur, and kvetch, which you'll have to look that up. It's a Yiddish word for a word that I really want to say. Vetching. You can, you know what I'm saying, right? It's not grumbling. It's not, it's kind of itching. You know what I mean? And you're going to itch. You're going to let itchy words out of your mouth. You can do that today about your spouse and your kids and your coworkers and the government, or you can choose to speak life. Listen, friend, today on the Dani Johnson Show, we're talking about money, but we're talking about money in a little bit of a different twist. And the twist is this. There is such a thing called financial faith. I've never heard anybody else talk about it, but I kind of coined this phrase several years ago because I noticed that there is faith that goes with money, and unfortunately, most people take faith and they put it in a religious aspect, but it actually is not a religious term at all. Faith is something that people who don't even follow God actually have. In fact, many millionaires and billionaires who do not walk with God follow his principles. They just don't know they're God's principles. They have a financial faith. They understand how the financial kingdom works. Unfortunately, most people do not know how the financial kingdom works. I know in my early years, 27 years ago, starting off in business for the very first time, 19 years old, I had no financial faith at all, man. I had a whole lot of financial doubt. I had a lot of financial unbelief. I had a lot of financial defeat. I had a whole lot of financial victim. I had a whole lot of financial death all around me. All I had ever seen was poverty. I had never seen anyone succeed. I'd always seen people just suffering financially and complaining about money and fighting about money. No matter how much money they had, always fighting about money. And so when I ventured off to start in business, I started to learn about faith, not in regards to religion, not in regards to my walk with God, but choosing to believe. You've all heard this term. Everybody has heard this term. That which you believe, you will receive, right? Okay, well, what is believing in something? Believing is a form of faith, and faith must be followed up with action. And so when it comes to money, I find, oh gosh, I'm telling you, hundreds of thousands of people that I've worked with throughout the world that most people lack. And you know what's really trippy? Is the ones who lack the most financial faith are people who are religious. No joke. The religious people who call themselves of Catholic or Christian or Baptist or Pentecostal or non-denominational, those people, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, those are the people that I have seen that lack the most faith. Those are the ones that are crippled with the most financial fear, most financial worry, most crippling financial anxiety, versus those that don't claim a faith, but they just understand the financial principles that God authored. There is a financial kingdom out there, and it is for you to participate in. And there are financial laws that millionaires and billionaires, they know those laws, and they work those laws to their benefit. Unfortunately, most of us have learned those laws by breaking them. That's when we went, whoa, I shouldn't have done that financially. I would love for you, especially if you're a person that belongs to a particular faith, meaning a belief in your God, especially one of the faiths that I mentioned earlier, if you and I serve the same God, shouldn't you know? If you say you know the author of the financial kingdom, then where's the proof? How did you learn those laws in the financial kingdom? By breaking them? I know I learned by breaking them first. Many of them, unfortunately, too many times. But the greatest success book ever written talks about money. In fact, 2,500 scriptures are in the Bible about money. About money. God has a lot to say about it. Unfortunately, most religious people only know the negative ones, unless, of course, they're a Jew. Then they understand. Jews, they understand God with money, which is why out of such a tiny little population, they're the most successful financially. They are. And some of the most influential in the whole world. They dominate in so many different places. And why? Because they understand the laws that God wrote concerning money. So today you're going to have the opportunity to learn those laws. You're going to actually go, oh my gosh, I've been breaking that. No wonder I'm not making the money I should. Or, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was a financial law. That is so simple. I can so easily do that. We have an entire hour together today to where you're going to have the opportunity to learn some powerful financial tips, strategies, skills, principles that when you hear them, you're going to go, I get it. That is so simple. Kids can do this so easily. So do this right now. We have a world that's hurting financially. I don't know if you noticed that or not. Do me a favor. Get on your phone. Start texting people immediately. Send them the link to the show. If you go to the website, DaniJohnson.com, you click on watch. Watch is where you can catch the link for where the show is playing all over the world right this very minute. So they can watch it via their phone, their iPad, their computer, or the Dani Johnson app. You can tell them to download the app because this show will change their lives and it will change yours. Freely, you're going to receive some incredible help financially today. Freely now give that help to other people. Okay, so we are going to be talking about what financial laws that you have broken and what was the result of it, or financial laws that you have learned, that you have applied, and how that has helped you. So we're going over here to line one. We've got Elisa Baptiste from Austin, Texas. Elisa, welcome to the show.
Why, thank you, Dani, for having me.
Yes. So what about financial laws that you've broken or that you followed, and what's the result?
Okay. Well, I've broken lots of laws, and thankfully, I've also kept some of the laws. I didn't really realize they were laws.
Yep.
But I do know that that I am a woman of faith. I do believe in the Bible and the words of God, and so I have tried to live the laws that He has given us through His Word.
Yep.
And one of those things I will say that I feel like my husband and I have done a great job with, and really it hasn't been because, we want to follow this law. It's just been because in having a relationship with the living God, He has just given us His heart.
Yep. Yes.
And so we are givers.
Yep.
And I don't mean just giving money, although we do support the poor and organizations around the world that are helping
the poor,
and rescuing slaves and all those kinds of things. That's always been my heart, but we also give very generously of our time, and it's something that we as a family have done. We've always taught our children from a very young age to we volunteer as a family. Every summer we do a camp together where we minister and serve children in the inner city and at-risk youth.
Yes.
And we volunteered at homeless shelters, at food pantries, all those types of things we've done. And we have just seen an overflow of blessings in our life. As the more we give, the more God has poured into our life. I mean, I could share story after story how God has done miraculous things in our lives. And I believe it's a direct result of us giving generously. Yes,
of your time and your talent. You know what? I want to pull this out of what you said. And by the way, Elisa, I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you. And thank you for sharing what you're doing. Giving. That actually, in the greatest success book ever written, which is the Bible, authored by the author of all success. And success is not Disneyland every day. That is not success. Success is filled with failure, hardships, suffering, and happiness. And sometimes all at the same time. But my point that I wanted to pull out from what you said is two things. Giving to the poor and giving of your time, talents, and abilities. And the third thing that I want to pull out is you said that when you love Him, He plants his heart in you, and that's the truth. You see, that great book says this, that those who hear the cry of the poor and respond to it are actually lending to the Lord, and he will make sure that they never have need. And I've seen that promise be fruitful in my own life as well as other people's lives. I've watched my clients who once were greedy and stingy, who never heard the cry of the poor. They could care less about the cry of the poor. They think it's a big scam. They think, oh, you're just trying to be a do-gooder. You're just doing this to get recognition. You know, those kind of people are deaf to the poor. Those people live in suffering. They live in absolute suffering. But if you want to be under the blessing in the kingdom of heaven, and again, the creator of the heavens and the earth wrote all the financial laws. And one of the biggest financial laws in the Bible is taking care of the poor. Taking care of the poor. And yet what we've done is instead we have written our tithe to our church so we can sit in a big fancy church in our big fluffy seats with our big giant monitors and all the lights and all the flash and all the jazz and of course the professional musicians. We like to be in that, and so we have a tendency of not taking care of the poor. And the church largely, unfortunately, she's been deceived for years of not taking care of the poor, but instead, I know there's small segments of churches that are taking care of the poor, but largely we're not taking care of the poor. And so you are rare that you know, first of all, you know him. Second of all, you've been given his heart, and his heart is for the poor. His heart is for the needy. His heart is for that kid that's in the sex trade. And he uses us who are not in the sex trade, who is not poor, who is not suffering like they're suffering, to use our gifting, our talent, and our ability to draw finances from the marketplace. And all he asks for is $1 out of every 10. That's all he asks for. $1 out of every 10, put it towards the poor, and I will bless you. 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 I cannot tell you how many people that have written me, have told me face to face, thousands of them, that prior to giving to the poor, they were always in need. They gave to the church, but the church didn't give to the poor. As soon as they started giving and saying, church, we need to feed the homeless, and they started programs of feeding the homeless and taking care of orphans, putting water supplies in places where there is no water or the water is contaminated and killing people. As soon as these people, our clients, started giving directly to the poor, whether that was, the church that now is going to take care of the poor, or they just give directly like to King's Ransom that 100% of the donation goes to the poor, their incomes have exploded. Their debt has been annihilated. Their marriages have been restored. Their bodies have been healed. It is miraculous what God will do if you be about his business. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Are you doing things that are blocking you from achieving true success? Find out what the multi-millionaire learned next on The Dani Johnson Show. Did you know you can take The Dani Johnson Show with you wherever you go? It's never been easier to stay up to date with the latest content from Dani with the DaniJohnson.com app. Watch or listen in the car, at the gym, or on the go. Download it now from the App Store and Google Play and never miss a show again. Your family, business, and bank account will thank you.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
More resources, more training, more results. The DaniJohnson.com Insider membership is your ultimate success shortcut. Get exclusive access to reports, videos, audios, ebooks, cheat sheets, and other training for your personal and professional life. This is truly DaniJohnson.com's best kept secret. Become an Insider member today and get on the fast track to success.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do with your life? Discover your own answer. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Your time is valuable. And if you're only using your time to serve yourself, this is not success. This is so not success. And no, Dani, I use my time to serve my family. That's still serving yourself. That is still serving yourself. If all you're doing is serving at your job to make money, or your business to make money so that you can now feed your family, pay your mortgage and your car payment and your credit card bills, and so you can make a little extra money so that you can go on a vacation, this is all self-centeredness. True success is selfless. True success is not just about your family, but it's using, just as we heard from Elisa, using your talents, your family's talents, your abilities, and taking a portion of your time and serving others in such a way that it does not personally benefit you. It doesn't benefit your business. It doesn't benefit your reputation. It doesn't benefit anything that you do, that you take time and you give a portion of your time. You may not have a lot of money to give, but I'm telling you, in the financial kingdom, and I'm telling you there is a financial kingdom, you can try to ignore it all you like. But here's the bottom line. You break a law, the law will break you. You break a law, the law will break you, my friend. You've broken some of the laws. One of them is stinginess. People who are stingy are broke. Oh, not only that, they're never satisfied. Stinginess is greed and gluttony. Stinginess is self-centeredness, not willing to part with a dime or a nickel for the Salvation Army, not willing to give somebody a better deal on something, not willing to part with a gift, not willing to part with your time. Stinginess does not ever result in creating wealth. Selfishness will not result in creating sustained wealth. True success means you ain't the center of the universe. It means that the one that brought you to this earth is the center of the universe. And you allow yourself to be transformed into a completely different image. And you are no longer a slave to the job, the career, the business. You're no longer a slave even to the church. You're no longer a slave to finances. But that you give of yourself. You give of some time, helping the homeless, the needy. Give of money instead of lavishing yourself in more gluttonous activities. That instead of spending so much time on entertainment or social media, that you are one that uses what you have received to bless other people with it. That is real success. And here on the Dani Johnson Show every day, we are challenging you, my friend. We are challenging you to think beyond the status quo of success, to obliterate the status quo of success, because it's a giant facade. It's a huge facade filled with plastic surgery. It's a huge facade that even just like recently, I was interviewing one of our clients who had this huge house, nothing in it, and he couldn't warm it for his newborn son. Facade. Facade. The status quo of success is a big fat lie. You have got to define what success is for you. What is it for you? What does it look like? What does it feel like? How do you want to live your life? And why are you waiting to live it that way? Don't be following what everybody else says success looks like. If success for you is being a homeschooling mom and given it your very best to educate your children and have plenty of time with them, well, then you go do that, and that is success. You take that leap of faith and go make it happen. But Dani, I don't think we can afford it. Listen to me. We're talking about financial faith. It takes faith to follow the dream of homeschooling your kids. It takes faith to believe that you can do what one of our clients did, where she decided to walk away from a $50,000 a year plus job that took 2 incomes that was over $100,000 a year down to 1, now making $50,000 a year. Her husband was, and she was homeschooling her kids. And she found a way. She became frugal. She became wise. She began to sell things like her kids' clothes and old toys. She began to get rid of things that she did not need any longer. No longer wanting to go out to eat, but instead it's more important for me to follow my dream. Because if you're working these 2 jobs so you can eat out, so you can have a big house, so you can have the cars, and yet your heart's desire is to homeschool your kids, you're still not going to be happy in the house with the cars at the job. You were born for something great. Do not put it off any longer. It is time to step up and go after it. Quit waiting for someone else to create a way for you to do it. Go step out with that financial faith saying, I trust that this is going to take care of itself. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
So what's keeping you stuck? It's time to get it out of your way for good. Stay right here for more of The Dani Johnson Show.
You want to succeed, right? But you do not want to fail God at the same time. There is a way to succeed from a biblical perspective, and it's far greater than anything you could ever imagine. Over 500 scriptures I studied to study money, everything that the Bible said about money. That's in the first couple chapters of Spirit-Driven Success. Not to mention leadership, working with people, growing a career, being used mightily in the marketplace, which is where Abraham, God used him in the marketplace. And Joseph, God used him in the marketplace. Moses, God used him in the marketplace. Daniel, Solomon, really all of the greats of faith, most of the greats of faith throughout the Bible, they all were in the marketplace, and God wants to show you how you can be used mightily by him in the marketplace. Right here, Spirit-Driven Success is where all of my notes are on how you can do that. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Spirit-Driven Success today.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was working 60 to 75 hours a week. I was completely stressed out. I was incredibly angry with my husband. We were in over $350,000 worth of debt. By applying the strategies that Dani teaches, in the last 3.5 years, we have paid off $170,000 in debt. We are no longer roommates, and we no longer spend every single cent that we make. We now have made tens of thousands of dollars in passive income in investments. We are on the right track. We're traveling around the world together, and we are building homes for those who really need it. So I don't know about you, but if you want to cut back from 60 to 20 and 30 hours a week, if you want to mend some relationships, if you want to make your life more efficient and a lot more fun, and you want to be the best version of you, I highly recommend that you get registered because your life is about to change.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, First Steps to Success in Creating Dynasty, my wife and I were really lost. We were struggling in a relationship. We were struggling financially, drowning in debt. Our relationship was really broken. We were in a bad place. We were living in 2 completely different states and not really honoring each other. Once we got plugged into the community, we noticed a shift in our lives. Most importantly, we came together as a husband and wife. That was the first thing we did. And when we finally came together under the same roof, things started to change. Over the past 3 years, we've been able to pay off over $495,000 in debt. I know in my business, I've had a job created for me that increased my income by 50%. 6%. That has actually opened up the door to allow my wife and I to spend more time with each other. So I don't know where you are. I don't know if your relationship is super awesome. I don't know if your job is immaculate. I don't know if you're debt-free. But what I do know is if you're not any one of those things, your next step is to get plugged into DaniJohnson.com, go on the website, get plugged into the community. I promise you, your life will never be the same.
And prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was a broke college student, drowning in debt, and I felt like the world was crashing all around me, and I had bad relationships. Since plugging into DaniJohnson.com and First Steps to Success, I was able to pay off $6,600 in 4 months. Now I'm able to give 10% of my income to wherever my heart desires. I actually, using the skills that I learned from Dani, I actually landed a job before I graduated college. And I'm able to travel the world. All I know is if you're serious about annihilating your debt, traveling the world, helping people, and having fun doing so, I highly recommend you get registered for the next First Steps to Success. Do it now, don't wait, don't even thinking about it. If you're ready to change your life, just do it.
We went to our first ever First Steps to Success just 10 weeks ago, and it has definitely been life-changing ever since.
We felt like we got hit by a 2x4, but it was the best 2x4 because what we realized is that our priorities were clearly out of line. I had been building a home-based business and had been working 80 to 100 hours, and I realized that that is not my role, and that I had actually taken my husband's, and it was that realization that something had to change, and we immediately went home and changed everything. There was no hesitation. We said, you know what, we need to be obedient to God.
And we've implemented the tools day one. We started implementing what Dani taught us, invested in ourselves, invested in our kids, got our priorities in line. We've now actually paid off just not quite $60,000 in debt and looking at a couple more investments here as head of the household.
It's been absolutely incredible. So I just encourage you, if any of this speaks to you, if you're wanting to get out of debt, if you're wanting better communication, if you're wanting to elevate to the higher level of life, get to First Steps to Success and plug into DaniJohnson.com.
The way you look at things is about to change. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
You know, you have been put on this planet for something specific. And you as a human live in a kingdom on earth. And there's two kingdoms that are here. One leads to poverty. One leads to blessing. One leads to a curse and death and destruction. And another leads to peace, fulfillment, satisfaction, true joy, everlasting love, even everlasting life. We're talking about the financial kingdom today, on this day that we always set apart to talk about money. There is a skill set you must learn. It's the same skill set that millionaires and billionaires have, even those that don't even confess a certain religious faith, but they have financial faith. And that means they understand the financial kingdom. Today we're talking about that financial kingdom, what those financial laws are, discovering them so that we don't continue to break them, because if you break the laws, they break you. So we asked a question on Facebook, and we have incredible, wonderful listeners to the Dani Johnson Show that have joined us today to share financial laws that they have broken, what they've learned from it, and or financial laws that they are keeping and how it has blessed their life. We got Kathleen Craig from Lynn, Massachusetts. Kathleen, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Hey, Dani. Thank you.
Yes. So, broke financial laws? Which ones?
Oh, boy.
So, what financial laws did you break, and what happened?
Oh, it was all ego-driven. I can see now. You know, I got divorced and moved out of state, and I was determined to start my life over.
Yeah.
And I was going to show everybody.
Divorces are expensive, aren't they?
Oh, yes.
They are. Divorces are so expensive. You know what, Kathleen? I was recently in a place and it was a crazy, unique situation where it was an owner of $500 million company. It was so interesting. They were talking about family wealth and generational wealth and how they've accumulated wealth. And they started with absolutely nothing, okay? And they're now the largest publishing company, privately held publishing company in the world. And what they brought up was that divorce Divorce is expensive. Avoid it at all costs. Most people do not realize how expensive divorce is, and that kind of creates a start over reset for people. And depending on how many years they wait to do that, or that they have that divorce, it costs them not only for the divorce, but it costs in the future as well. And obviously you found that to be true. So now you're going to bootstrap it. You're going to build your own life in spite of that old guy. And what happened?
I bought the big house I couldn't afford.
Yeah.
Traveled, an hour and a half each way to commute with 2 small children. Oh, it was just ridiculous.
Gas money, time, wear and tear on the car, all of that costs money.
Oh, brand new truck I bought. I was just living the high life until I realized I couldn't keep up. The credit card, the whole kit and caboodle, and I just absolutely lost everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yes. Okay, now let's look at this financial law. The financial law that Kathleen's talking about that she broke was this law. He who can be faithful with the little things will be made ruler over much, much more.
Yeah.
In today's terms, live well below your means and take care of the little things. If you're faithful, if you can be trusted with little things. It's like this. Here's the financial law. I want you to imagine that you are a governor over financial territory. Actually, you don't have to imagine it. That's the facts. Kathleen is a governor over financial territory. I'm governor over my financial territory. How much financial territory do we have? That's your monthly income. Your monthly income tells you exactly how much governing territory you have. It could be $2,000 a month. It could be $4,000 a month. It could be $10,000 a month. It could be $100,000 a month. Could be $1 million a month. Everyone has a certain amount of financial territory. How much financial territory that has been given to us is determined by how well we grew our last financial territory. So if a governor of a state, for example, causes the state to go broke again and again because there's revenue coming in and he spends it all, and there's no profit left over to reinvest back into the state, how long is he going to stay governor?
Right.
Better not be very long.
He's out of there.
He needs to be out of there. And I think that should be for the President of the United States. That should be for our senators, for our congressmen. That should be for the mayor. That should be for everybody. Because the reality is that we have governing territory, financial governing territory. And if we are spending all we make, that means there's nothing left over to invest and to grow, because you only can grow money by investing it into something, whether it's investing into business, whether it is investing into properties, whether it's investing into stocks, whether it's investing into people, no matter what, investing into skill set. Investing is what causes something to grow. We have to take a portion of some kind of seed, and money is seed, plant it into another place so that we now can yield a whole nother field of fruit. And so what people do is they eat all their seed. So not only were you eating all your seed, Kathleen.
Oh, yeah.
You were eating Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover's seed too, and maybe Bismarck's seed and whatever their department stores, JCPenney's and Sears seed. And of course you were eating the bank's seed that gave you this huge mortgage that you certainly did not need. Oh my gosh. And then cars, right? We are using the bank, the car loan seed also, and we're not supposed to do that. If we can be faithful with the little things. And I love what you said. You started this conversation with this ego. It was all ego. And man, it was. You were trying to prove to your ex that he screwed up.
Yep.
Look at me.
Exactly.
Look at my truck.
Exactly.
Look at my house. Look at me. Oh, I'm so happy you can laugh about it, because that's what people do. They make ego purchases trying to prove someone wrong or prove somebody right or trying to prove that they're better than where they're at. But oh my gosh. So if you had to do it all over again, Kathleen, what would you have done?
Oh, I would have stayed in the house and had him leave. That's what I would have done.
Right. And not bought a new truck.
Oh, God, no, I wouldn't have done. If it was now, I wouldn't have done anything like I did.
Yeah.
It's just awful, and I blame myself for years for the guilt and the condemnation, and I finally was able to forgive myself.
Yes.
Thank you, I might add, for all of this. because I wouldn't have been able to do that without knowledge.
Yes.
Without, training. I've been investing my time in you, in your radio, in your website, on Facebook.
Wow.
And I just planted the hugest seed of all. I'm coming to see you.
Yes!
I'm so excited.
Girlfriend, your whole world is going to be so rocked. Your whole world is going to be so rocked. I can't wait for you to meet literally like your brothers and sisters. You will feel like you have found this family that are so like-minded with you that are going to encourage. You're going to find people right from your local area that'll be right there at that first steps to success, and you guys are going to egg each other on. And it doesn't matter what happened in the past. It doesn't matter about these financial laws that you broke. You will learn these firsthand, these financial strategies that are going to shape the rest of your life. And you'll be shocked of how fast debt's going to be paid off, how fast you will be able to accumulate wealth, how fast you will be able to be completely free from any baggage that you maybe don't even know that is actually even there. I'm excited to see what happens to you. I really am. Oh my gosh, I can't wait, Kathleen. I can't wait. Okay, so we got Elizabeth Dyer from Georgia. Elizabeth, what about you? Did you break financial laws or have you followed some? Share which.
Yes, I definitely broke financial laws. I got in debt from the time I was 18 and really felt there was no hope to live any other way.
Yeah. Isn't that wild? You know what's such a trip? I was talking to my husband recently. This is the weirdest thing. That prior to my husband was the one that taught me and told me that we could pay off debt. Prior to that, I was like, I just thought that this is life. What about you? Did you think that debt was just, debt's like drinking water? It's like eating dinner. It's just life.
It definitely seemed that way. And then in January of last year, I was moving my business. We had expanded, and during that move, a credit card got lost.
Ooh.
What they don't tell you when you report it lost is that you're locked out of your account.
Right.
So I had made my January payment, and it was time to make February's payment. And I was still locked out. We had not got our new card, and my 0% interest card went to 29.9%. And it was at that point that I really hit home that I was a slave to this debt.
Wow.
I was a slave to this company.
Oh my gosh. And that stinks. So again, debt, that is breaking a financial law. I'm going to tell you what law that is. You are spending more than you make. You're spending more than you make. Spending more than you make leads to poverty. It does not lead to wealth. It leads to poverty. Investing is a different story. We'll talk about that when we continue. With more on The Dani Johnson Show. Financial faith means don't use your debt.
Elizabeth was breaking the law. Which law? Dani will tell you next on The Dani Johnson Show.
I'm so blessed that I found what is in Grooming the Next Generation for Success. This is a book that is being taught in universities around the world. It's been noted as the best book on parenting that has ever been written. Crazy, if you ask me. But the point is that this thing gets results. Get your copy today, 888-757-8880. Again, that's 888-757-8880. Or go to DaniJohnson.com. That's DANI Johnson.com. Get your copy today.
My name is Mario Johns. I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania. And I just want to share with you on April 14, 2013, that was the first day I heard the name Dani Johnson. And I was so inspired by her story. And I just had to find out, how did she go from homeless to millionaire? And it was just so inspiring to me. So I went on DaniJohnson.com, and I started getting the daily emails, the daily fixes. And then after a while, I just stopped reading them for some reason. And August of 2013, it was 4 days before my first event. After work, I went on YouTube, and I typed in Dani Johnson's name, came to my mind, so I typed it in on YouTube, and I sat at my kitchen table for about an hour and just listened to testimonial after testimonial. And it was just so inspired. I'm like, I have to get to this first steps to success. And I had no money. I didn't know how I was going to get there. The funny thing was, a week prior to this day, I got a credit card in the mail that I never asked for. It was a $1,200 credit limit. I was going to cut it up, but I figured I'd save it for like the emergency. I got my event ticket, my flight, and my hotel room. I maxed that sucker out, and I came down to Dallas, Texas. And the first 3 hours of the first day, I was just like in tears the whole time. I was just so blown away. It was something that I was just so hungry for. And prior to plugging in, I was a depressed, hopeless, suicidal drug addict. I hated myself. I hated life. I hated other people. I felt like a slave to debt, and I actually accepted debt as part of my life. I had toxic relationships, and I was, and then since plugging in, I've been drug-free for 15 and a half months now. I paid off over $13,000 worth of debt in a little over 13 months. I've completely restored my relationships with my family, my friends. I have amazing friends today from around the world. I love my life, and this is just an honor to be up on this stage. But if I just want to say, if you're new here, one thing that I wish I did is one of my favorite products is War on Debt, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't been following that as like I should be. My first event, if I got War on Debt and followed that with diligence, today I'd be debt-free. So I just want to encourage you, if you're new here and you have debt, I highly recommend getting that, because that's, by the end of this year, I want to be debt-free, and that's my goal. So please help me welcome back to the stage America's favorite millionaire, Dani Johnson.
What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
So here you have it. Wow. Elizabeth, who thought she had a 0% interest rate on a credit card due to unfortunate set of circumstances, they just all of a sudden tell her, oh no, it's now 29%. She ends up in debt, and as a slave, breaking the financial law of living within the means, living below your means, learning to invest money into things that will cause you to grow. But instead, she found herself as a slave. If you want to be successful, do not submit your body to the bondage of debt. If you want to be successful, do not submit yourself to the yoke of slavery, of spending more than what you make. Learn to make more and save more, and then learn how to invest the more, so that the more grows even when you're sleeping, that the more grows even when you're doing other things. You can do this. And you can do this, by the way, still vacationing. You could do this, still enjoying life. Slavery is from debt. It's not from, it's not from not eating out. Elizabeth, so you ended up in this debt and you realized that you had become a slave. Then what happened?
Well, as it would be, I'd been listening to your show, and I was listening to your show one afternoon going home, and you talked about cutting up credit cards. And the Holy Spirit really convicted me. So when I got home, I took every one of those cards and I cut them up, and then I decided that wasn't enough. I burned them.
Oh, yeah! Yes! I love it! So, we need to have a bonfire. Everyone bring their credit cards. I love it.
So that was it. There was no chance.
How did that feel?
Using those.
How did that feel?
Wonderful. because I knew the hole I was in, at least I wasn't digging any deeper.
Amen. Amen. Okay, so now?
So then I got out my Excel spreadsheet and I started crunching numbers. And I come up with a 3-year plan to pay it off.
Amen.
And I can tell you, sitting there looking at that, it was supposed to be paid off November 2016. You know, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
And when I looked at that plan, it was completely overwhelming. And I had to just sit there and start praying. And I made a covenant with God that certain money that came in was going towards my debt.
And what happened?
Whatever amount it was going towards my debt. And so then I went to the bank and I set up a completely separate bank account. I was not going to touch this money for anything but to pay debt.
Yep.
And I'd made a set amount of money that was coming from my business that was going into that account. And all this other money I had set aside, it was from selling items to my tip money, to whatever it was.
Yep.
That list of money was going in there. And I was faithful to that. And it was not always easy.
Yep.
And I was faithful to that. And I just kept saying, okay, Lord, I'm going to make it 3 years. I can make it. Well, I can say God's plan was to pay it off in less than 1. On April 10th, I paid my final payment.
Oh, praise God. So that was a total of how much of debt that you paid off?
$35,634.75 to be exact.
I love it. Oh my gosh, this is such a powerful story. Okay, now let me ask you another question.
Yes.
Do you have a mortgage? Do you have car debt?
I have a mortgage and student loans left.
Okay, so do the same exact thing. Look at how God...
I'm not giving up.
Oh, no.
Attacking.
Exactly. So you paid off all that credit card debt, okay? Now let's attack the student loans. Then let's attack that mortgage. And I promise you, you use that same kind of thing, but now take it a step further. Have you ever heard of war on debt?
Yes.
Okay, do you own it?
That's what I did. I said it's time to declare war.
It is. It is time to declare war on the student loans and the mortgage. And guess what? You're going to use a similar principle, but there's a whole bunch of other principles that are just so simple. So simple, it's going to blow your mind, and you are going to feel empowered as you are armed with an arsenal from the creator of the heavens and the earth on how to annihilate that debt. Okay? So war on debt, it is time to join the army of people who are doing that. And I promise you, you're going to watch your mortgage and your student loans, bam, just like that. And you're going to get this incredible, I can hear the empowerment in your voice already. It's about to go to a whole nother level. Elizabeth, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And thank you. I know that our team that is listening right now as we're doing this show, that we are so blessed, because most of the time we don't hear all the stories that are happening out there from doing the show. And with you confessing to us that you were listening to the show one day and you've been faithfully listening to it, and you heard about that woman cutting up her credit cards and you said, done. And you went and you did it. And now we know that there's another changed life out there. And we know that you're going to be 100% completely debt free. Oh my gosh, Elizabeth, thank you so much for calling and blessing us today. This means so much to us. We've got Chris from Ohio. Chris, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Thank you, Dani. I really appreciate you having me on the call. Okay, you had mentioned on Facebook about people who don't know God, yet they've used the laws that he has set in place, and they've become rich.
Very, very, very. Billionaires use his financial principles in his financial kingdom. And because God is bound by his own laws, he will not operate outside of his own laws. So because he's bound by those laws, those guys have made billions of dollars.
That's right. And they're using God's laws and don't even realize it. So I made a comment about how well that was said and how you put the thoughts that were in my mind. I mean, that you put it in words better than I could have. So I just wanted to share a little bit about my husband and I and the flawed ideas that we had about reaching points in our life to be wealthy. We are far from that right now, but we're on the right track.
Amen.
And I used to be a person, not when I first started out. When I was young, I didn't think this way. But as we messed up, and I figured, well, you know what? God doesn't want us to be wealthy. So, you know, that's not us. And then just in the past few years, I've gotten connected with you and with other people that have taught me differently. So we're at the beginning of that journey. And next year, I want to be able to call this show and say that we are six-figure earners. That's residual income. I'm not talking about trading time for money.
Amen.
I want that to be residual.
Yes.
So,
yes.
We can help people.
Yes, you can.
I have in my mind exactly the amount, and it's a lot, that we need to make. And this is not, nobody needs 7 figures to live on.
Nope.
And
nope.
I want to give that. I want to give that. And so I'm just so inspired because we have a music minister at our church that he and his wife are leaving, sadly, but greatly to mission in the Dominican Republic. And you know what? God told me this morning, Chris,
help him.
That
Yes.
is your mission right there.
Yes, yes. So. This is so awesome, Chris. And there is, and you're right, nobody needs to live on 7 figures. No one even needs to live on 6 figures in income. None of us need to, okay? And my husband and I choose not to, but we choose to give. In fact, 100% of the profits from our business goes straight into taking care of the poor. And so if you be about God's business, he's going to grow your business so that you can continue to give and be blessed in that way. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
Did you know you can see Dani Johnson live and in person? Go to DaniJohnson.com and find out about our next live event. First Steps to Success. Register today. Call 866-760-8255 or go to DaniJohnson.com/FSTS.
After plugging into First Step Success, I was able to get started in a business. That business became profitable extremely quickly, generating $15,000 in 30 days after that training event, $70,000 that first year. That business went on to allow me to be able to leave my nursing career behind. My second year did $120,000. I've been building that same business over the past 10 years. We've made millions of dollars in income. I've been able to live a life that I never thought was possible, and I truly believe that it wouldn't have been possible without First Step to Success.
We gained the tools that we needed to really pay off debt and just get our life on track in every way. And in 14 months, we paid off over $62,000 in debt, which just blew our mind. We thought it wasn't possible. We got hope back. Our marriage was saved. We became alive.
After finding Dani Johnson and First Steps to Success, I have the most amazing marriage now. And my kids, they're honorable and respectful, and I'm able to motivate them to do their best. We've paid off over $80,000 worth of debt in just 14 months without increasing our income at all.
I got registered for my first event at First Steps to Success, and my life literally changed. I started a business with no business experience, made $30,000 my first year, working under 20 hours a week, and I made $100,000 the next year without increasing my hours. I made $40,000 in the last 4 weeks alone, and I've paid off all the $80,000 in student loan debt while also donating over 15 grand and starting 2 additional companies. So I don't know about you, all I know is that if you have even the smallest desire to make more money in less time, while also being able to help people and have fun at the same time,
You have to get yourself registered for the next event. It will change your life. What are you waiting for? Get yourself registered today.
Dani was able to teach me skills and abilities and talents that not just salvaged my business, turning it into a dynamic company, but restored my marriage. Today, we paid over $500,000 of our debt off. We're completely debt-free. I have a business that last year ranked in the top 15% of the entire industry in what we do. And I have a marriage that is rocking on fire.
After the second day of her event, we figured out where all our money was going. We got ourselves out of debt in 3 months. We paid off $18,000 worth of debt and are completely debt-free. And now we've finally created a life of our dreams. We've made a 6-figure business, and we're just doing everything that we want. So if you're thinking about coming to First Steps to Success, you've got to make it happen. Sign up right now and make sure you don't miss it.
Be sure to tell a friend about the Dani Johnson Show. It just might be the key to the breakthrough they need. And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Tim Alston is joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. We're talking about financial laws that we've kept and or broke. Tim, I've got 1 minute. Tell me, what financial law have you kept or broke?
How you doing, Dani?
Good.
Good. It's an honor to be on your show today. And I just wanted to mention one law that I kept, one that I've learned through the years, and that is actually one of God's laws is on investing.
Yes.
And, my mind kind of takes me back to the scriptures when it kind of talked about the 3 servants.
Yes.
That were given some talent.
Yep. Which is money.
You had 2. Exactly, which is money.
Yep, it is money.
And, 2 took that and they invested that.
Yep.
And they grew that money.
Yep.
And the master was pleased.
Yes.
But then you had one
that did not
took that money or that talent and hid it.
Yep.
And the master was not pleased.
Not only was the master not pleased, but the master said, send him out where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth, and he was called a wicked, lazy servant. Ooh! Hold on here. So not only do we live in a society that eats all the money they should be investing, we live in a society that does not invest. We live in a society that spends, and God calls that person a wicked, lazy servant, working like a dog, but wicked and lazy because they're not learning to invest. Oh, that is a financial law, friend. That is a financial law. I already mentioned earlier today in the show about things to invest in. You got to pay attention. You got to step up. Listen, I know that today you enjoyed our program. Every single one of our faithful listeners and callers into the program contributed so much experience and knowledge and wisdom. This is a show you want to share and listen to again and again and again. There's so much meat that was coming at you. By the way, you want to learn those principles, especially the one that Tim Alston was talking about. First, spirit-driven success. Okay, now listen, there's 2,500 scriptures in the Bible that talks about money and business. Well, how do you find them? Well, I spent years finding every single one of them and studying them. These 2 books basically are a culmination of where all those passages are and the skill sets that are drawn straight from the Bible for building business, investing, paying off debt, growing your influence, both financially as well as personally. And so I can't strongly recommend get a hold of these tools and begin to follow these laws. They're so powerful. This one talks about the 12 laws. They're happening. You might be breaking them. Stop breaking them. Start using them for you like the millionaires and the billionaires do, and you're going to start receiving the blessing as well. So get a hold of us at DaniJohnson.com. You can call 866-760-8255. Lastly, we've been talking about giving, taking care of the poor all day. If you do not know of a powerful organization that gives 100% to the poor, everything that they receive, that just goes straight to the clothes, to the food, to the shelter, the education, kingsransom.org is the place you want to give to. kingsransom.org. Join us on a project of building 1,000 homes for the extreme poor in Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. That's kingsransom.org. God bless you. Have an awesome rest of the day.
Did you hear that last segment? Do you know someone else who needs to hear it? Go to DaniJohnson.com, find today's show, and share it online. This has been the Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted.